In the heart of an ancient Igbo village, surrounded by the lush forests and the rhythmic hum of life, lived a man named Ezudo. He was the village's most skilled palm wine tapper, known far and wide for the sweetness of his brew. Every morning, as the first light of dawn kissed the tops of the palm trees, Ezudo would begin his ascent, deftly climbing the tall trees, his feet steady and sure on the rough back. The villagers adored him. His palm wine was the essence of every gathering, the joy of every festival, and the comfort of every weary soul. Yet, despite his success and the praise heaped upon him, Ezudo felt a deep, gnawing dissatisfaction. He often sat in his small hut, staring at the god filled with fresh palm wine, wondering if there wasn't something more to life than this. One day, while perched high on a palm tree, his knife poised to tap the tree sap, Ezudo felt a strange sensation wash over him. It was as if the world around him faded, and in its place, a new vision emerged. Through the mist of the morning, he saw another village, a place unlike any he had ever seen. The people there were dancing, laughing, and making merry, as if they had no cares in the world. The sight was so captivating that Ezudo forgot about his task and simply stared. When he returned to the ground, he couldn't shake the image off his mind. The vibrant colors, the joyful faces, the music that seemed to play in the air. It was all too vivid, too real. Norma, he called to his wife as he entered their hut that evening. "You won't believe what I saw today." Norma, a woman of calm and practical nature, looked up from the basket she was weaving. "What did you see, my husband?" "A village," Ezudo began, his voice filled with awe. "A village like no other. The people there, they were so happy, Norma, happier than anyone I've ever seen. They were dancing, laughing, and there was music in the air. I've never seen anything like it." Norma smiled gently, used to her husband's flights of fancy. "Perhaps it was just a daydream, Ezudo. The sun can play tricks on the mind when you are up in the trees." But Ezudo shook his head vehemently. "No, it was real. I know it was, and I want to see it again." From that day, every time Ezudo climbed the palm tree, he found himself searching for the village on the other side, and each time it appeared to him a little clearer, a little more detailed. The people, the laughter, the music, it was all so enticing. He began to long for it, to yearn for a life in that village where the burdens of everyday life seemed non-existent. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the skies, casting long shadows across the village, Ezudo was more restless than usual. He had spent the day thinking of nothing but the other village, the merry people, and the life he might live there. His heart pounded with anticipation as he tied the knot around his waist, barely pausing to secure it properly. "I must see them again," he muttered to himself as he began his climb. The higher he climbed, the more eager he became. The world around him started to blur, and the familiar vision began to take shape. But just as the other village came into view, the rope around Ezudo's waist slipped. He barely had time to cry out before he was plummeting towards the ground. When he hit the earth, everything went black. Ezudo slowly opened his eyes to find himself lying on a soft bed of grass, surrounded by the sounds of laughter and music. He blinked, trying to clear his vision, and then he saw them, the people from the other village. They were real. They were just as joyful and carefree as he had imagined. He sat up, staring in disbelief. "Am I dreaming?" he whispered to himself. A woman with a radiant smile approached him, holding out her hand. "Welcome, Ezudo. We've been waiting for you." Ezudo took her hand and allowed her to help him to his feet. "Waiting for me? How do you know my name?" She laughed, a sound as sweet as the music that filled the air. We know many things here. Come, join us. The celebration never ends. Ezeudo's heart swelled with excitement. This was what he had been longing for. A place where he could be free, where joy was endless. He followed the woman into the heart of the village, where the music was louder and the laughter even more infectious. Days passed, though time seemed to lose meaning in this place. Ezeudo danced, laughed, and made merry with the villagers, feeling a lightness in his heart that he had never known before. But as time went on, he began to notice something odd. The people around him never spoke, not a word. They communicated through smiles, laughter, and gestures, but never words. And no matter how much they danced and celebrated, their expression never changed. It was as if they were trapped in an eternal loop of joy. One evening, as Ezeudo sat by a fire, watching the dancers, a sense of unease began to creep into his heart. He missed the sound of his wife's voice, the chatter of the villagers, the simple routine of his life as a palm wine tapper. This place, it's not what I thought it would be, he muttered to himself. He rose and approached one of the villagers, a man who had been laughing non-stop since he arrived. "Excuse me," Ezeudo said, "but how do I get back to my village?" The man's laughter faltered for a moment, but he did not answer. Ezeudo's unease grew. He moved from person to person, asking the same question, but each time he was met with the same response: laughter, but no words. Panic began to set in. "I need to go back," Ezeudo whispered, fear tightening around his heart. "I don't want to stay here forever." But as he ran through the village, searching for a way out, he realized with dawning horror that there was no way back. The village on the other side was not a place one could leave. It was a place where one became lost in endless merriment, cut off from the world they once knew. Ezeudo fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "I was a fool," he cried. "I wanted more than what I had, and now I've lost everything. My wife, my home, my life." The villagers continued to laugh and dance around him, their joy now a haunting echo in Ezeudo's ears. He had wanted to see the other side, and now that he was there, he realized the true cost of his desire. He was trapped in a world of eternal merriment, where no one spoke and no one ever left. And so Ezeudo the palm wine tapper, who had once been the pride of his village, was lost to the other side, where he danced and laughed with the others, forever longing for the life he had left behind.